Parshas Mishpatim speaks about the mitzvahs that are known as the logical mitzvahs, those mitzvahs, laws that deal with interactions between man and his fellow, which human logic would dictate similar behaviors. Not to kill, not to steal, laws of compensation for damages, these types of things, which are things that theoretically, even if the Torah would not have been given, we would be able to understand on our own this is a proper way to behave. Nevertheless, our sages emphasize that Parshas Mishpatim was given at Mount Sinai. The Torah starts these laws with the words Ve'ela HaMishpatim, and these are the laws, which is coming as a continuation to the previous Parsha, which speaks about the giving of the Torah at Har Sinai at Mount Sinai. And our sages say that the continuation of Parshas Mishpatim following Parshas Yisrei, particularly with the Torah emphasizing the connecting word and these are the laws, means that the laws that we fulfill because they make sense to us, they make sense to human logic, have to be fulfilled, have to be done because these are the laws that Hashem gave at Mount Sinai. The person could ask, why isn't human intelligence good enough? The answer is, firstly, we have seen with our own eyes, we still see, unfortunately, that people that are very bright and smart, or even people that champion very worthwhile causes, but if they don't believe in Hashem, they don't have a starting point of ethics that is beyond their intellect, they could become completely corrupt with the support and with the logical interpretation of their own intellect. So intellect has to be based on the morals and ethics which transcend human interpretation, human inclination. But most importantly, the fact that it is a much deeper point over here, the fact that it makes sense to us, that certain behaviors are inappropriate, are immoral, and so on and so forth, that doesn't come out of the blue. That is all a outcome from the fact that Hashem gave the Torah by Mount Sinai, where Hashem revealed His wisdom, bringing it down into the Torah, bringing it down in a way that human beings, that the Jewish people in the world at large, could learn and understand God's wisdom. This is what causes us on our own, from our own perspective, to view certain things from the viewpoint of Torah. It's not that the human beings on their own have this ability. It's because Hashem invested His own wisdom within the world that affected us, that certain elements of Torah are so much part of the world in the way that it makes sense to us. This is the way to behave. Now, this is all in general. We've seen that as time goes on, the idea of unity, of a level of recognition, of the proper recognition of proper morals and ethics between people, which is expressed in the idea of unity, of understanding that we should not fight with each other, we should incorporate every other entity around us within our own lives, has become more and more developed over time. The reason for this is as we get closer to the times of Mashiach, when the unity of Hashem will be revealed, and the world at large will be a world where there will be no hunger, no wars, no conflict, no competition. So the closer we reach that age, it becomes not only something which is in the spiritual worlds, that there's a sense of godliness, a sense of unity revealed, but within our own consciousness, within our own understanding, we're naturally more inclined to view things from a perspective of unity. But this again is an outcome of a spiritual, godly unity. Hashem is one, Hashem is a simple unity. And when through giving of the Torah, when Hashem created the world, Hashem invested this unity in the world. Nevertheless, this unity was not fully revealed within the world, and it's through our divine service throughout the ages we reveal this unity more and more, to the extent that it seems to us as with our nature, second nature, that this is the way we think, but in truth it's a novel accomplishment. For example, as the past few generations, and particularly past few years, we've seen a global shift moving away from war, moving towards joint cooperation, right? This seems very logical. It seems to make most sense to anyone. Let's stop war, let's try to build together a better world. Nevertheless, not too long ago, and unfortunately even today, there's still, the people thought that it's good to fight. This was, why was that? If it makes sense, doesn't it make sense? Doesn't human intellect dictate that there should be peace? People should try to find a way of cooperating, making the world a better place. Why is it specifically the past few years that we see this thing becoming more and more the way how everyone thinks? And the reason is, again, the reason why we have this feeling is because the world was created by Hashem, who is one. The world is really supposed to be one. Shouldn't be in a state of conflict. Nevertheless, the world was created in a way where godliness is concealed. So this inherent unity within the world, which makes sense, is a natural state of the world, is concealed. Through our divine service for the past few thousand years, refining the world for Torah mitzvahs, that inner unity becomes revealed to the extent that many people, they think that this is just coming from their own nature, that they think this is the right way to behave, although not too long ago this was not considered. Many people didn't champion this cause. Another example we see in the business world. The business world, for many years, people did business, and the whole idea of business really shows on unity. I'm selling you an item, you're giving me money, we all give and take from each other. But nevertheless, business was very much connected with competition. If somebody was in the same business as someone else, he viewed the other person as a competitor. In the past few generations, things have changed dramatically. Instead of people looking at each other as a competitor, the idea of joint cooperation, even in private businesses, instead of a person doing a business on his own, a private business, when he makes a business public and he makes it into a cooperation that many people could join, the success of the business is much greater. So people on their own are realizing that the idea of unity, doing things together with other people and businesses, when you integrate different businesses within one a general framework where many different components join together and each one is able to achieve his maximum potential, because you have a global network of different businesses and each one is able to do his particular thing that they do best in the proper way. People realize that this makes sense. That it's a better, you get more money. It's a better way of doing things. Instead of each individual trying to compete with the other one, if they join hands together and each one excels in what they particularly excel, and each one tries to do things together, and there's definitely still room for individual qualities, but when people, instead of looking at each other as a competitor, when they join forces, each one excelling what they could do, they're able to accomplish much more. We see this in the business world. As time goes on, this is increasing. Today things are becoming global markets and so on and so forth. And the same thing is even in sciences and even lahavdil in Torah, that years ago people would always view everything in creation as a separate entity. They try to discover, to uncover the meaning of every phenomenon in creation, viewing it as its own the separate entity. The more time goes on, science is coming to the idea, to the realization that all of creation is inherently unified. That there's two, and as Rebbe explains, they've broken down the elements of creation, the two basic elements which encompass all creation, which is mass and energy. And the mass and energy itself, the way how it functions is that they unite together. Again, bringing out the idea of unity. The same thing in Torah. For many years, many great Torah scholars have delved very deeply in Torah, but the way of learning was primarily to understand each particular subject on its own, to delve into the questions and answers in each particular subject. In the past few generations, we've seen a great shift. There's become a great change of approach to try to view all the different discussions in Torah as based on similar general themes, which run through all these particular individual segments, that they're all united with a general theme, which again brings out the idea of unity. This is all a result from the fact that godliness is becoming more and more revealed in the world. So therefore, naturally, the world itself in many areas is rotating towards unity. Obviously, we still have to pitch in our own little efforts in increasing unity and spreading this awareness of unity amongst the Jewish people, Ahavas Yisrael, among the world at large, which obviously has to be based in a recognition of godliness. Unity which is based purely on selfish motives might create certain things, but if a person is just avoiding war because it's not good for him, if he'll find a justification for why it should be good for him, then he might pursue war. So there has to be the realization that all these ideas are based on the fact that there is a God in the world who is one, and we're all supposed to, and he dictates how we should lead our lives, and therefore there is inherent unity in the world, and it's when we're connected with God, we realize that our natural state is to be one and not to fight, and to have peace with each other. And Hashem should help that we should merit the coming of Mashiach. And it says that the nations will beat their swords into plowshares, and the whole world will call out the name of Hashem, serving Him as one, which should happen speedily nowadays. Amen.